The warning lights flashed red across the control room of Station 7. Commander Velcon stared at the screens with growing fear. Something big was coming through space near the edge of their territory. Something very big. "Show me the readings." Again, Velcon ordered his crew. He was a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. His people, the Veltar, had ruled this part of space for thousands of years. The young officer at the scanner station pressed buttons with shaking hands. "Sir, the energy readings are off our charts. Whatever is coming through is bigger than our largest warships." Velcon's stomach twisted. The Galactic Council controlled everything in this galaxy. They had the best ships, the best weapons, the best technology. No one could challenge them. No one had ever tried, but these readings showed something impossible. Space, twisted and bent near the terminus system. Energy crackled like lightning between the stars. Then, slowly, a shape began to appear. The ship that came through was enormous. It was longer than 3 Council battleships placed end to end. Its hull was black metal covered in scars and burn marks. Strange symbols were painted on its sides in white letters that no one could read. "Get me Admiral Zexhai right now, Velcon," whispered Dot. Within minutes, the Admiral's face appeared on the main screen. Zexhai was older than Velcon, with scars on his face from many battles. His yellow eyes were cold and hard. "What is this about, Commander?" the Admiral asked. "Sir, an unknown ship has entered our space. It's massive. Our computers cannot identify it." Admiral Zexhai leaned forward. "Show me." The image switched to show the mysterious black ship floating in space. It moved slowly, like a sleeping giant. No lights flashed on its surface. No signals came from it. It just waited. The Admiral was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke in a low voice. "How many ships like this are there?" "Just one, sir. But, sir, look at these energy readings." The Admiral studied the numbers. His face grew pale. "This single ship has more power than our entire fleet." Across the galaxy, other stations began reporting the same thing. The mysterious ship was sending out scanning beams, studying everything around it, but it did not attack. It did not threaten anyone. It simply watched and learned. On the councils, main world emergency meetings began. The leaders of different alien races gathered in the Great Hall. The Nexari were small gray beings who loved to trade. The Etherians looked like floating jellyfish made of light. The Korthax were huge, with shells like beetles. They all had the same question. Where did this ship come from? No species in our. "Records can build something like this," said High Counselor Nexus, leader of the Nexari. "We have explored this entire galaxy. We know every race that exists." "Perhaps it came from outside our galaxy," suggested an Etherian, its voice like singing. Crystal's Admiral Zexhai stood before the council. "We must act quickly. If this species can build one ship like this, they might have more. We should destroy it before it becomes a threat." "Wait," said Counselor Nexus. "We should try to talk to them first. Maybe they have technology we can trade." 4. While the council argued, the mysterious ship continued its scans. It studied their star charts, their ship designs, their communication frequencies. It learned their languages by listening to their radio signals. Then, without warning, it sent a message. The message came in perfect galactic standard, the common language used by all council species. Every ship and station in the area received it at the same time. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earthship Defiance. We are human beings from a distant part of space. We seek safe passage to the galactic core. We have no quarrel with you." The words were spoken by a female voice, calm and clear, but they sent shockwaves through the council. "Humans?" Admiral Zexhai repeated. "There are no humans in our records. We have never heard of Earth. Emergency meetings were called on every council world. Scientists studied the message, trying to understand how these humans had learned their language so quickly. Military leaders argued about whether to attack or negotiate, but one thing was clear to everyone. This ship was not like anything they had ever seen. The Defiance hung in space like a dark sword. Its weapon ports were closed, but everyone could see they were there. Huge gun barrels hidden behind metal doors. Missile launchers the size of buildings. Shield generators that hummed. With power. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of her ship, looking out at the stars. She was a small woman with short brown hair and tired eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform with no fancy decorations. Behind her, her crew worked at their stations. They were all human, but they looked different from what the aliens might expect. Some had metal parts replacing lost limbs. Others had scars that told stories of terrible battles. All of them moved with the careful precision of trained warriors. "Captain," said her first officer, a tall man named Commander Chun, "we're receiving multiple transmission requests from the alien fleet." Elena nodded. "Let them wait a little longer. What do our scans tell us about their technology?" "Primitive, Captain. Very primitive. Their ships are big and slow. Their weapons are basic energy beams and simple missiles. Their shields are weak." Elena smiled sadly. These aliens reminded her of how humans used to be, long ago, before the war changed everything. "And their society?" she asked. "Classic galactic empire structure. Multiple species under the control of a ruling council. They use fear and superior technology to maintain order. Most of their subject races appear to be enslaved or controlled." Elena walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the alien ships gathering around them. There were hundreds now, with more arriving every hour. They thought their numbers would intimidate her. They did not know that the Defiance had fought against enemies that could destroy entire star systems. They did not know that humanity had learned to survive against impossible odds. "Captain," Chun said quietly, "they outnumber us 1,000 to 1. Alana's smile grew colder. "Then it's a fair fight." She turned to her communications officer. "Open a channel to their admiral." "It's time we had a conversation." Admiral Zexhai's face appeared on the main screen. He tried to look stern and commanding, but Elena could see the fear in his eyes. "I am Admiral Zexhai of the Veltar Empire," he announced. "You will surrender your ship immediately and submit to council authority." Elena looked at him calmly. "Admiral, I told you already. We seek safe passage. We have no quarrel with you or your council. You have entered our space without permission. Your ship is a threat to galactic security. Surrender now, or we will destroy you." Elena was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke in a voice that was soft but filled with steel. "Admiral, you should know that my ship has been scanning yours for the past 6 hours. We know exactly how your weapons work, how your shields function, and how your engines operate. If you attack us, we will defend ourselves. And if we defend ourselves, your fleet will cease to exist." The Admiral's face turned red with anger. "You dare threaten the might of the Galactic Council?" "I'm not threatening anyone," Elena replied. "I'm simply telling you the truth. Now, would you prefer to discuss this like civilized beings, or shall we demonstrate the difference between our technologies?" Around the bridge of the Defiance, her crew prepared for battle. Weapons powered up silently. Shields strengthened to full power. Fighter craft prepared to launch. But Elena hoped it would not come to that. Not yet. There were things these aliens needed to learn first. Things about what humanity had become, and what was coming for all of them. In the darkness between stars, something else stirred. Something that had been following humanity's trail across the galaxy. Something hungry. The real war was still far away, but it was coming. 3 days passed before Admiral ZXHY agreed to meet with Captain Vasquez. During those 3 days, more council ships arrived until the space around the Defiance was filled with warships. But the human ship did not move. It waited like a patient predator. Captain Elena Vasquez prepared for the meeting in her small quarters aboard the Defiance. She put on her best uniform and checked her equipment one last time. Hidden in her clothes were tiny devices that would record everything and send information back to her ship. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" Commander Chun asked. He stood in the doorway, worry clear on his face. "This could be a trap," Elena smiled. "Of course it's a trap, Chun, but they don't know what kind of trap they're walking into." She walked to the shuttle bay where a small human craft waited. The shuttle was sleek and fast, nothing like the big, slow ships the aliens used. As it flew toward the Council flagship, Elena studied the enemy vessels through her window. The Hegemony's Pride was huge, almost as long as the Defiance, but much wider. Its hull was white and gold, decorated with symbols of power and conquest. Hundreds of smaller ships surrounded it like guards protecting their king. Elena's shuttle landed in the alien ship's docking bay. As she stepped out, she was surrounded by alien soldiers. The Veltar were tall and strong, with blue skin and yellow eyes. They carried energy weapons and wore heavy armor. "Follow us," one soldier ordered in a harsh voice. Elena walked calmly. Between them, her hands empty and visible, but her eyes recorded everything. The layout of the ship, the type of weapons the guards carried, the weak points in their armor. Information flowed back to the Defiance through the tiny transmitters in her clothes. The meeting room was designed to intimidate visitors. It was enormous, with a ceiling so high it disappeared in shadows. The council leaders sat on raised platforms, looking down at where Elena would stand. Bright lights shone in her eyes while their faces remained in darkness. Admiral ZXHY sat in the center, flanked by representatives of the other major races. To his left was High Counselor Nexus of the Nexari, a small gray being with large black eyes. To his right floated an Etherian, its jellyfish-like body glowing with soft colors. "Captain Vasquez," Admiral ZXHY began, his voice echoing in the vast room. "You stand before the rulers of this galaxy. We have governed these stars for thousands of years. Every species, every world, every ship obeys our commands." Elena looked up at them without fear. "That's very impressive, Admiral. But I'm not here to join your empire. I just want safe passage for my people, your people." High Counselor Nexus leaned forward. "How many ships do you have? How many worlds do you control?" Elena was quiet for a moment, as if deciding how much to tell them. "We have enough ships to protect ourselves. As for worlds, we lost our worlds long ago." This was partly true. Earth was gone, along with all the human colonies. But Elena did not tell them why or how. "Lost your worlds?" The Etherian's voice sounded like singing wind. "To war? To plague? To natural disaster? To something you cannot imagine," Elena replied softly. "Something that eats entire star systems for food." The council members looked at each other. Admiral ZXHY's eyes narrowed. "You speak in riddles, human. If you want our help, you must tell us the truth." Elena reached into her pocket slowly, making sure the guards could see her movements. She pulled out a small device, no bigger than her thumb. "This is a medical scanner," she said. "One of our basic tools. High Counselor Nexus, you have been suffering from a disease in your blood for many years. Your doctors cannot cure it." Nexus jumped back in surprise. "How do you know this?" "Our medical records are secret. Our scanners are very good," Elena said simply. She placed the device on the table between them. "This scanner can cure your disease in minutes. It will rebuild the damaged cells in your blood and make you healthy again. She looked around at all the council members. We humans are good at fixing broken things. We have had a lot of practice. Admiral Zexhai gestured to his guards. This could be a weapon. A poison. A trick. Elena shrugged. High Counselor Nexus. Can test it on a volunteer first. Or he can continue to die slowly from his blood disease. His choice. Nexus stared at the small device for a long time. Finally, he called for his personal doctor, a Nexuri medical expert who examined the human scanner with various instruments. It appears to be genuine medical technology, the doctor reported. More advanced than anything we have seen. If it works, as she claims, try it, Nexus ordered. The doctor activated the device and aimed it at a guard who had agreed to volunteer. The guard was missing one finger from an old injury. A soft blue light emerged from the scanner and touched the guard's hand. Everyone watched in amazement as the missing finger slowly grew back. In just 5 minutes, the guard had a complete hand again, with no scars or marks to show it had ever been damaged. The room fell silent. Impossible, whispered Admiral ZEX HA. Elena picked up the scanner and offered it to Nexus. Your turn, High Counselor. With shaking hands, Nexus allowed the device to scan his blood. The blue light flowed through his body for several minutes. When it finished, he stood straighter than he had in years. His gray skin had a healthy color it had lacked for decades. The pain is gone, he whispered. For the first time in 30 years, the pain is gone. Elena put the scanner back in her pocket. We have many such devices. We can grow new limbs for injured soldiers. We can cure diseases that your doctors consider impossible. We can repair damage that would normally kill. She paused and looked at each council member. But these are just our basic medical tools. We have much more advanced technology. Admiral Zexhai tried to regain control of the meeting. What do you want in exchange for this technology? Safe passage, Elena repeated. And perhaps trade agreements. We are explorers and builders, not conquerors. Where are you trying to go? Asked the Etherean. The galactic core. There are things there we need to study. This was true, but not the whole truth. The galactic core contained ancient technology that might help humanity in their war against the Devourers. But Elena did not mention the DEVOURERS. High Counselor Nexus spoke up. Perhaps we can arrange something. Your medical technology alone would be worth billions of credits. We don't want your money, Elena said. We want information. Star charts, cultural databases, historical records. We want to understand this galaxy and its people. Admiral Zexhai's eyes grew suspicious. Why do you need our historical records? What are you really looking for? Elena met his gaze steadily. Admiral, my people have traveled a very long way to get here. We have seen things that would terrify you. We have fought enemies that your worst nightmares cannot imagine. All we want is to find a place where we can rest and rebuild. She reached into another pocket and pulled out a small crystal cube. This contains some of our star charts. Places we have been, things we have seen. Consider it a gift. The Etherean extended a tentacle and touched the crystal. Immediately, its body flashed with bright colors as it processed the information inside. Impossible, it gasped. These charts show galaxies millions of light years away. Stellar phenomena we have never seen. Technology signatures that should not exist. Elena nodded. We have traveled very far and learned much, but we are tired of running. We want to settle down and live in peace. Admiral Zexhai stood up, his forearms spread wide in a gesture of authority. We will. Consider your request, human. But understand this. The Council rules absolutely in this galaxy. If you stay, you will follow our laws. Elena looked up at him with calm eyes. Of course, Admiral. We are peaceful people. We only fight when we have no other choice. The meeting continued for several more hours. Elena answered their questions carefully, revealing just enough to intrigue them, but not enough to alarm them. She spoke of humanity's journey through space, their advanced technology, their desire for peace, but she did not tell them about the war that had driven humanity from their home. She did not mention the devourers that consumed entire civilizations. She did not explain that every human aboard the Defiance was a veteran of battles beyond their imagination. When the meeting ended, Elena returned to her shuttle. As she flew back to the Defiance, she reviewed everything she had learned. The Council was powerful but arrogant. They had ruled for so long that they had become lazy and weak. Their technology was advanced, but old, unchanged for thousands of years. Most importantly, she had planted seeds of doubt among them. Nexus now owed her his life and would argue for cooperation. The Etherian was fascinated by human knowledge and would push for more information sharing. Other minor races in the Council had heard about the magical healing and would demand access to human medical technology. The Council was beginning to fracture, exactly as Elena had planned. Back on the Defiance, Commander Chun met her in the shuttle. "Bay, how did it go, Captain?" Elena smiled as she walked toward the bridge. "Better than expected. They're going to tear themselves apart, arguing about us. While they argue, we gather intelligence and prepare for what's coming." "And what is coming, Captain?" Elena's smile faded as she looked out at the stars. "The Devourers found our trail, Chun. They're following us here. When they arrive, this whole galaxy is going to learn what real war looks like." 2 weeks after the first meeting, tensions between the Council members had grown worse. Some wanted to welcome the humans and learn from their technology. Others wanted to destroy the Defiance before it became a threat. The arguments grew louder. Each day, Admiral Zexhai decided to end the debate with a demonstration. If the humans were as dangerous as he feared, this would prove it. If they were weak, he could destroy them with honor. "Captain Vasquez," his message said, "the Council requests a cultural exchange. Send your finest warrior to our combat arena. We will send ours. Let our champions meet in honorable battle so we can understand each other better." Elena read the message on the bridge of the Defiance. Commander Chun shook his head. "It's obviously a trap, Captain. They want to see how we fight." "Of course they do," Elena replied. "The question is, what do we want them to see?" She walked to the ship's training deck, where her crew exercised and practiced combat skills. The humans aboard the Defiance were not ordinary people. They were the survivors of humanity's greatest war, soldiers who had fought impossible enemies, and lived to tell about it. Elena found Sergeant Maria Santos sparring with 3 other soldiers at once. Santos was small and quick, with dark hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Scars on her arms showed where metal and flesh had been joined together. Her eyes were the color of steel. "Santos," Elena called, "I have a job for you." Santos finished her sparring match by disabling all 3 opponents in under 30 seconds. She walked over to Elena, barely breathing hard. "What kind of job, Captain?" "The aliens want to test our strength. They're challenging us to single combat in their arena." Santos smiled, and it was not a pleasant smile. "What are they sending?" "Against me? Their greatest champion. A Veltar warrior named Krexthul. He's never lost a fight. He's 3 meters tall, weighs 300 kilograms, and can generate electric shocks with his body." "Sounds fun," Santos said. "Any special rules?" Elena handed her a datapad with information about the challenge. "Traditional Veltar combat. No weapons, no armor, fight until one cannot continue. They expect their champion to kill you quickly and terrify the rest of us." Santos read through the information, studying every detail about Veltar physiology and fighting techniques. "Captain, Do you want me to win or lose? Elena thought for a moment. I want you to teach them something important. Show them what humanity has become, but don't show them everything we can do. Understood, Captain. The arena was located on the Council's main station, a massive structure that orbited their capital world. Thousands of aliens gathered to watch the fight. They expected to see their champion destroy the small human female in minutes. The arena itself was a circular platform 50 meters across, surrounded by energy shields to protect the spectators. Weapon scanners made sure no fighter brought Forbidden's tools into the ring. Krexthil entered first, and the crowd roared with approval. He was enormous, a reptilian giant with blue-black scales and yellow eyes. His muscles bulged under his thick skin. Electric sparks danced between his clawed fingers. He had killed dozens of opponents in this arena over the years. Then Sergeant Santos walked out to face him. The alien crowd fell silent. Santos looked tiny compared to the massive Veltar champion. She wore simple gray clothes and soft boots. Her hands were empty. She looked around the arena calmly, as if she was taking a walk in a park. Admiral Zex High stood in the royal box, overlooking the arena. Begin, he commanded. Krexthil charged immediately, moving faster than something is. Size should be able to move. His claws reached for Santos, crackling with electric energy that could stop a person's heart. Not Santos was not there when the claws arrived. She had moved to the side with impossible speed, so fast that many spectators missed it completely. Krexthil's attack hit empty air. Before he could turn around, Santos was behind him, but she did not attack. She simply stood there, studying him. Krexthil spun around with a roar of anger. He swung his massive fist at Santos's head. Again, she was not where. The attack landed. This time she appeared above him, having jumped over his swing. For 5 minutes, this continued. Krexthil attacked with growing fury, using every technique he had learned in hundreds of battles. Santos avoided every attack, moving like water on stone. She never struck back. She just watched and learned. The alien crowd began to murmur nervously. How was this small human moving so fast? How did she know exactly where each attack would come from? Finally, Krexthil stopped attacking. He stood in the center of the arena, breathing heavily. Electric energy crackled all over his body. Stop running, coward, he shouted. Fight me. Santos tilted her head. You're tired already? We've barely started. Krexthil's eyes blazed with rage. He gathered all his bioelectric energy and released it in a massive blast that filled the entire arena with lightning. The energy was so powerful, it would have killed. Any normal person instant the Santos stood in the middle of the electric storm, completely unharmed. The lightning flowed around her body and into the metal floor. Her enhanced nervous system absorbed the energy and converted it into useful power. When the lightning faded, Santos smiled. Is that all you have? Now it was her turn to attack. Santos moved faster than the eye could follow. She struck Krexthil in precise spots on his body, nerve clusters that controlled his muscles, pressure points that disrupted his balance, joints that locked his movement. Each strike was perfectly calculated. Her enhanced reflexes and combat. Computers analyzed his anatomy in real time, finding weaknesses that no normal person could detect. Krexthil tried to fight back, but his body no longer obeyed him. His left arm went numb. His right leg buckled. His vision blurred as Santos struck nerve bundles in his neck. The fight ended when Santos placed her hand gently on a specific spot at the base of Krexthil's skull. A massive warrior collapsed. Instantly, his body temporarily paralyzed by a precisely applied nerve strike. The arena was completely silent. Santos knelt beside the fallen champion and checked his pulse. He will be fine in about 10 minutes, she announced. No permanent damage. Then she did something that shocked everyone watching. She helped Krextel sit up and offered him water from her own bottle. "You fight with honor," she told him quietly. "In a fair fight, without my enhancements, you would have won easily." Krextel looked at her with new respect. "What are you?" He whispered. "I am what war made me," Santos replied. "My people have fought enemies that would terrify your nightmares. We adapted or died. I adapted." Admiral Zexhai's voice echoed through the arena. "The human is victorious. But this proves nothing. She may be enhanced, but she is only one soldier." Santos looked up at the Admiral's box. "Sir, with respect, I am not special among my people. Every human aboard our ship has similar modifications. We are all veterans of the same war." The implications of her words sank in slowly. The Defiance carried 40,000 humans. If they were all like Santos... Impossible. Admiral Zexhai muttered. Santos stood and bowed to Krextel. "Thank you for an honorable fight. I hope we can be friends instead of enemies." The big warrior struggled to his feet, his pride damaged, but his respect genuine. "What war?" he asked. "What enemy could force an entire species to become like you?" Santos looked sad for a moment. "Something that eats stars for food. Something that turns entire worlds into weapons. Something that has been hunting my people across the galaxy for 200 years. She turned to face the alien spectators. "We did not choose to become weapons. We chose to survive. There is a difference." As Santos left the arena, the aliens watched in stunned silence. They had expected to see their champion crush a weak human. Instead, they had witnessed something that challenged everything they thought. They knew about warfare and evolution. In the royal box, the council members argued in hushed voices. "She moved like lightning," whispered in Etherian. "Our best warriors could not match such speed." The way she analyzed his fighting style, added a Nexari scientist. It was like she had computers in her brain. "If all humans are like this," Admiral Zexhai said slowly, "then their ship is not just a warship. It is an army of 40,000 super soldiers." High Counselor Nexus, still grateful for his healing, spoke up. "Perhaps we should consider alliance instead of conquest. These humans might be valuable allies against external threats." "What external threats?" demanded Admiral Zexhai. "We have ruled this galaxy, unchallenged for millennia. Nothing can threaten U.S." But even as he spoke, long-range sensors on the edge of the galaxy were detecting strange energy signatures. Something big was moving through the dark space between star systems. Something that left dead worlds in its wake. The Devourers had found humanity's trail. Back on the Defiance, Santos reported to Captain Vasquez on the bridge. "How did it go?" Elena asked. "They're scared, Captain. They understand now that we're not ordinary refugees. But they don't understand what made us this way." Elena nodded. "Good. Fear will make them listen when we tell them the truth. And when the Devourers arrive, they'll understand why we had to become what we are." She looked out at the Council fleet. Surrounding them, so many ships, but all built for fighting other ships like themselves. None of them were designed for the kind of war that was coming. "How long do we have?" Santos asked. The first sign of trouble came from the outer rim worlds. 3 colonies stopped sending regular reports. When Council ships went to investigate, they found empty space where planets used to be. Not destroyed planets, missing planets. As if they had never existed at all. Admiral Zexhai stood in the Council's war room, staring at star charts that made no sense. "How do you make an entire planet disappear?" he asked his scientists. "We don't know, sir," replied the chief astronomer, a nervous Etherian whose light had dimmed with fear. "Our instruments show that the planets were there last month. Now there is nothing, not even debris. More reports came in daily. Ships vanishing without distress signals. Research stations going silent. Trade routes becoming empty corridors through space. The Council's intelligence service worked frantically to find answers. They suspected the humans were somehow responsible, but their surveillance of the Defiance showed no unusual activity. The human ship remained in the same position, making no aggressive moves. Then they made a breakthrough that changed everything. A binge? Council cyber warfare specialist named Vex Tai had been trying to break into human computer systems for weeks. The Defiance's security was unlike anything he had encountered. Layers upon layers of encryption that seemed to learn and adapt to his attacks. But Vex Tai was patient and clever. He found a small gap in their defenses, probably left there on purpose. When he finally broke through, he expected to find ship blueprints or weapon designs. Instead, he found humanity's history. The files were enormous. Thousands of years of human records, compressed into quantum storage devices. Vex Tai began reading, and within hours he was running to Admiral Zex High's office. "Sir," he gasped, "you need to see this immediately." Admiral Zex High read the stolen files in growing horror. The story they told was impossible, but the evidence was overwhelming. Humanity had not come from some distant galaxy looking for a new home. They were refugees from their own galaxy, running from an enemy so terrible that it had nearly wiped them out completely. The files called them the Devourers. According to human records, the Devourers appeared in humanity's galaxy about 200 years ago. No one knew where they came from or what they really were. They looked like massive living ships, each one the size of a small moon. But they were not ships. They were creatures. The Devourers fed on entire star systems. They would arrive at a solar system and begin consuming everything: planets, moons, asteroids, even the star itself. When they finished, nothing remained except empty space and the Devourers, now larger and hungrier than before. Humanity had tried to fight them at first. Earth's fleet was powerful, with thousands of warships and advanced technology. The war lasted 50 years and ended with humanity's complete defeat. Earth was consumed. Mars was consumed. Every human colony and space station was destroyed or abandoned. Only a few million humans escaped in a desperate evacuation fleet. For the past 150 years, humanity had been running. The Devourers followed them from galaxy to galaxy, always hunting, always consuming. Each time humans tried to settle somewhere new, the Devourers found them, and the chase began again. But running had changed humanity. Each generation grew stronger, faster, smarter. They developed technology that could adapt and evolve. They enhanced their bodies to survive in impossible conditions. They became living weapons because only living weapons could survive what was hunting them. The Defiance was not just a warship. It was an ark carrying the genetic patterns of every Earth species, the cultural knowledge of human civilization, and weapons designed to kill gods. Every human aboard was a volunteer who had chosen to keep fighting instead of fleeing to the dark. Between galaxies, Admiral Zex High read about human battles against enemies that consumed stars. He read about weapons that could crack planets open, and shields that could stop the explosion of suns. He read about humans who had been so modified by war that they were barely recognizable as the species they once were. And he read about the Devourers' feeding pattern. They would send scout ships ahead of the main swarm. The scouts would mark suitable star systems with special signals. Then the swarm would arrive and begin the harvest. According to the timeline in the files, Devourer scouts should arrive in this galaxy within months. Admiral Zex High called an emergency council meeting. For the first time in galactic history, every species leader attended personally instead of sending representatives. The war room was packed with aliens from across the galaxy. What you are about to hear will sound impossible, Admiral Zexhai began, but our intelligence services have confirmed every detail. He told them about humanity's true history, about the Devourers, about the coming invasion, about the fact that every missing colony had shown the same energy signatures found in human records of Devourer attacks. The room erupted in chaos. "Impossible," shouted a Korthax general. "Nothing could consume an entire planet." "We would have detected such creatures," insisted an Exari scientist. "The humans are lying to make us afraid," declared a Veltar commander. But High Counselor Nexus, who owed his life to human medicine, stood up slowly. "I have seen their technology work miracles. If they say something this terrible is coming, we should listen." Admiral Zexhai activated a holographic display showing the outer rim of the galaxy. Red markers indicated all the missing colonies. "And ships. The pattern is clear," he said. "Something is systematically destroying our outer territories. It matches exactly what the human records describe as Devourer scout activity." An Etherian scientist studied the display with growing alarm. "If this pattern continues, the scouts will reach our core worlds within 2 years. And if the main swarm follows, ... The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Admiral Zexhai looked around at the assembled leaders. "Captain Vasquez has requested another meeting. She says she has a proposal for us." The meeting took place aboard the Council flagship once again, but this time Captain Elena Vasquez was not alone. She brought Commander Chun and Sergeant Santos with her. Elena walked into the same intimidating chamber where she had first met the Council. But now the aliens looked at her with different eyes. They saw not a refugee seeking help, but a warrior who had survived the impossible. "Counselors," Elena began, "I assume you have learned the truth about my people by now." Admiral Zexhai's face was grim. "We know about the Devourers. We know what happened to your galaxy. The question is, what do you want from us?" Elena activated a small holographic projector. Images appeared in the air, star charts showing the Devourer approach. Routes, technical specifications for anti-Devourer weapons, tactical analyses of successful human defensive actions. "We want to help you survive," she said simply. "We have been fighting the Devourers for 2 centuries. We know their weaknesses. We know how to hurt them. What are you asking for in return?" High Counselor Nexus asked. Elena's expression grew. "Serious. Complete reorganization of galactic society. No more slavery. No more genocides of primitive species. No more ruling through fear and oppression." The chamber erupted in angry voices. "Unacceptable." Admiral Zexhai roared. "We will not surrender our authority to refugees." Elena waited for the noise to die down. Then she spoke in a voice that cut through the chaos like a blade. "Admiral, in 6 months, Devourer scouts will reach your core worlds. In 18 months, the main swarm will arrive. When that happens, your authority will matter exactly as much as the screaming of the billions who die." She gestured to the holographic images. "We have weapons that can kill Devourers. We have shields that can protect planets. We have tactical knowledge gained from 200 years of warfare. But we will only share this technology with allies, not masters." Counselor Nexus leaned forward. "What exactly are you proposing?" "A new galactic government based on cooperation instead of domination. Each species contributes according to their abilities. Military decisions made by those with actual combat experience. Resources shared equally among all members." Elena paused and looked directly at Admiral Zexhai. "And humanity takes command of all military forces during the war, because we are the only ones who know how to fight what is coming." The Admiral's face turned purple with rage. "Never. The Veltar Empire will not bow to inferior aliens. Elena's expression did not change. Then the Veltar Empire will be consumed, and its people will become food for creatures that eat stars. She turned to address all the council members. You have a choice. You can maintain your pride and face the Devourers with your outdated weapons and obsolete tactics. Or you can swallow your arrogance and learn from those who have survived the impossible. An Etherian floated forward, its bioluminescent body pulsing with nervous energy. What guarantee do we have that humanity will not simply conquer us after the Devourers are defeated? Elena smiled sadly. Because conquest is what the old humanity might have done. We are not the same species that left Earth 200 years. Go. War changed us. We learned that survival requires cooperation, not domination. She activated another hologram, this one showing the interior of the Defiance. Our ship carries the genetic templates of 10,000 species from our home galaxy. Not just Earth species, alien species that we saved during our evacuation. We could have left them behind and made room for more humans. Instead, we chose to preserve life, even when it cost us dearly. The Council's decision came swiftly, but it came too late. Half the Council species agreed to Captain Vasquez's proposal. The Nexari, Etherians, and dozens of smaller races were willing to reorganize their society to survive the Devourer threat. They understood that their old ways would not work against an enemy that ate entire star systems. But the other half, led by Admiral Zexhai and the Veltar Empire, refused to surrender their power. They declared the humans to be liars and terrorists. They claimed the missing colonies were human attacks designed to frighten the Council into submission. We will capture their technology by force, Admiral Zexhai announced at an emergency war council. Once we control their weapons, we can destroy these so-called Devourers and maintain proper order in the galaxy. The Veltar fleet, supported by the militant Korthax and several other warrior species, moved to attack the Defiance. Over 8,000 warships surrounded the human vessel, their weapons charged and ready. Captain Elena Vasquez watched the approaching fleet from her bridge. She felt a deep sadness. These aliens were about to learn the same lesson humanity had learned 2 centuries ago, that pride and arrogance meant nothing when facing the impossible. Captain, Commander Chun reported, Admiral Zexhai is demanding our immediate surrender. He says we have 10 minutes to shut down our weapons and prepare for boarding. Elena looked at the tactical display. 8,000 ships against 1. In the old days, before the war, those would have been impossible odds. But the Defiance was not built in the old days. Open a channel to all ships, Elena ordered. Admiral Zexhai's face appeared on her main screen, along with dozens of other alien commanders. Behind them, she could see the bridges of their massive warships. Admiral, Elena said calmly, you are making a terrible mistake. In a few hours, Devourer scouts will arrive in this system. If you attack us now, you will face them alone. Enough. Lise, Zexhai roared. Your ship is surrounded. You cannot escape. Surrender now, or we will destroy you. Elena sighed. Admiral, I have tried to be patient with you. I have tried to explain what is coming, but you refuse to listen. She turned to her weapons officer. Mr. Torres, show them what they are really facing. The Defiance's hull began to change. Panels slid open to reveal weapon systems that the Council sensors had never detected. Energy readings spiked as power systems that had been hidden came online. But that was not the real surprise. Space began to tear open around the Defiance. Fold space ruptures appeared in perfect formation, each one exactly where Elena had planned. The Council fleet found themselves surrounded by portals that led to somewhere else. From each portal emerged a human warship. The Council had thought the Defiance was alone. They were wrong. Humanity's entire evacuation fleet had been hiding in fold space, waiting for this moment. 300 human ships materialized around the Council fleet. Each one was scarred by centuries of warfare. Each one carried weapons, designed to kill creatures the size of moons. Each one was crewed by veterans who had fought the impossible and won. The Council fleet suddenly found themselves outnumbered and outgunned by an enemy they had never seen coming. "Impossible, Admiral," Zexhai whispered. "Our sensors showed only one ship." Elana's voice echoed across every channel in the fleet. "Admiral, human technology is 200 years ahead of yours. We have been hiding in dimensions you don't know exist. We have weapons that work on principles your scientists haven't discovered yet." The human ships moved with perfect coordination, surrounding individual Council vessels without a single wasted motion. It was like watching a dance performed by machines, except these were living crews working within human precision. "You have two choices," Elena continued. "Surrender now and join the fight against the real enemy, or be destroyed and leave this galaxy defenseless against the Devourers." Admiral Zexhai's face was pale with shock, but his pride would not let him surrender. "All ships attack. Destroy them all." The battle that followed lasted exactly 17 minutes. The Council ships fired with everything they had. Thousands of energy beams and missiles flew toward the human fleet. It should have been enough firepower to destroy a small planet. The human ships simply were not there when the attacks arrived. They moved through space like ghosts, phasing in and out of normal dimensions. Their hulls adapted to each weapon type, becoming immune to energy that had worked moments before. Their shields bent reality itself, creating pockets of space where the laws of physics worked differently. When the humans fired back, Council ships died. Human weapons did not just destroy their targets, they erased them. Ships vanished from existence as if they had never been built. Others were converted into pure energy that fed back into human power systems. Still others found their hulls transformed into substances that could not support life. Admiral Zexhai watched his mighty fleet dissolve around him. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years were swept aside like toys. His own flagship, the Hegemony's Pride, was surrounded by 3 human vessels, no larger than shuttles. "Surrender," Alana's voice said directly into his mind, transmitted by technology he could not understand. "Your crew does not have to die for your pride." The Admiral looked around his bridge. His officers stared at him with fear and desperate hope. These beings had followed him into battle, trusting his judgment. Now they would die because he had been too proud to listen. "All ships, cease fire," he ordered quietly. "We surrender." The shooting stopped immediately. Human ships moved alongside Council vessels, their crews already preparing to render aid to damaged ships and injured aliens. Elena opened communications to the entire fleet. "Council commanders, you have seen what human technology can do, but this was not meant to frighten you. It was meant to save your lives." She activated her long-range sensors and shared the data with every ship in the system. At the edge of detectability, massive energy signatures were approaching fast. "The Devourer scouts will arrive in 3 hours," Elena announced. "They travel faster than your ships and hit harder than your weapons. If you had destroyed us, you would be facing them with damaged vessels and depleted ammunition." Admiral Zexhai's voice was broken when he finally spoke. What are you?" Elena's reply was gentle but firm. "We are what you will become, if you survive long enough. War changes everything, Admiral. It makes you stronger, or it destroys you. Humanity chose to become stronger. But even as the human fleet prepared to defend the system, disaster was spreading across the galaxy. News of the Council fleet's defeat reached every world within hours. The aliens who had watched their supposedly invincible masters surrender to a few hundred human ships began to question everything they had been taught. On slave worlds, rebellions erupted as species that had been oppressed for millennia saw their chance for freedom. The powerful Veltar Empire found itself fighting civil wars on dozens of planets as subject races declared independence. Trade networks collapsed as merchant species refused to honor contracts with the defeated council. Military alliances dissolved as member species withdrew their support from the central government. In less than a day, the galactic civilization that had existed for thousands of years fell apart completely. High Counselor Nexus, aboard his personal ship, sent a desperate message to Elena. Captain Vasquez, our entire government is collapsing. Billions of beings are in chaos. How do we restore order? Elena's response was broadcast to every leader who would listen. You don't restore the old order. You build something better. She transmitted detailed plans for the new Galactic Confederation she had proposed. Democratic representation for all species. Resource sharing based on need rather than military power. Laws that protected the weak instead of serving the strong. The old galaxy was held together by fear, Elena explained. It only works until someone stronger comes along. The new galaxy will be held together by cooperation and mutual benefit. That will survive any enemy. Some species embraced the new system immediately. Others resisted and tried to maintain their independence. But as the Devourer scouts began attacking Outer Rim colonies, reality forced them to cooperate. The first scout was the size of a small moon, with skin that looked like living metal. It approached a mining colony of 2 million beings and began to feed. Elena led a mixed human-alien fleet to intercept it. The Council species watched in horror as their most powerful weapons bounced harmlessly off the creature's hide. Even concentrated. Fire from 50 battleships did no damage at all. Then the human ships opened fire. Their weapons worked on principles the aliens could not understand. Some attacked the creature's nervous system directly. Others disrupted the energy fields that held its massive body together. Still others simply erased portions of its matter from existence. The scout died, but not easily. It took 6 hours of constant bombardment before the creature finally stopped moving. When it was over, the mixed fleet had saved the mining colony. But everyone understood the truth. Without human weapons and tactics, the galaxy could not survive. More scouts arrived daily. Each one was different, adapted for specific types of consumption. Some ate planets, others fed on stars. A few consumed the life force of entire populations without touching their physical bodies.